are listening to the most original talk radio station anywhere. We are LA Talk Radio at latalkradio.com.
You're listening to Fouché Way with Brandon Fouché, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Well, hello, and welcome to the Fouché Way radio show, live every Thursday at 1 o'clock p.m., sponsored by the nonprofit organization called Canine Hope for Improvement Program, where we hope to improve the quality of our dogs' lives by moving towards a no-kill society. The number here is 818-602-4929. Well, before we start the show, I would first like to thank Dr. Patricia Fitzgerald for writing a very nice article in the Huffington Post, along with a video that touched on some really interesting things that people need to hear. I would like to suggest, if you have not seen or read it, please go to the Fouché Way Radio Facebook page and like it. Now, Patricia is being very instrumental in helping to get the word out to save the lives of dogs that are misunderstood. But she is no stranger to the world of dogs. She has been helping, volunteering, fostering for many years before she ever met me. So she knows how to respond when she hears something that can make a change. She's not easily won over. I found that out. This is not a woman you can appear to as a wolf in sheep's clothing. She will sniff you out. And so I'm proud to have her as part of the struggle to get the meaning out. So Patricia, if you're listening, thank you from the bottom of the hearts of all the dogs that will benefit from your article. Now, you know, for me, living in the world of dogs, or probably I should say dogs living in my world, because we create their reality. I spend my day as a mediator, and many have heard me say this word, mediator. I also am an observer. And in doing that, I have developed a skill, and I don't look at things as positive or negative, right or wrong when it comes to dogs. But I must say, at times it can become difficult because I have to become so engrossed within the moment that it seems like time slows down. And I've been told that my expression changes, that I become very serious and focused. And I suppose that can be true because in doing this job, you've got to be as sober as the judge. And one step in front of any aggressive action, mentally or physically. And so I'm saying this because I'm giving you some information about my method when I'm working with large numbers of dogs. And it's funny, sometimes Leroy, who works with me, will say to someone, I don't know how he does that, or even why he does that. Sometimes he shakes his head because of the sheer number of dogs that are together, let alone the difference in their personalities. And I'm sure if he's listening, he's laughing because I know exactly what he's thinking. But there's something that I believe. I believe that if we are given the right knowledge on how to understand and given the right instructions in relations to dogs and how we should respond to them, we will get miraculous results instantly. We have only to sit down and design a new relationship with our dog and make it the most important thing that you do. Because when you have an aggressive issue with your dog, it is the most important thing in your life. You see, we were never given sufficient and intelligent knowledge about what we should and should not be doing when developing our relationships with our dogs. And because of that, it's difficult to make a change. We think that we're being mean. We don't believe or want, in some cases, to do it because doing it interferes with the plans of our own personal attachments that defined us. And so we become addicted to the attachment and can't break away to become something else for our dogs. And that something else is a leader. And why is that? Well, maybe because we subconsciously actually got them to feed the addiction, to feed the attachment, to feed the neurosis, because it was already there. But now the big question is this: will we try hard enough to fix it? Will we try hard enough to fix it? You see, I make a point to stay connected with my dogs in a leadership role, and of course emotionally. In terms of my intentions, I force myself to be directly synchronized with their experiences because I've created their environment. And that gives me the ability to simultaneously be connected to the reactivity of their nervous system. Now, what does that mean? Their nervous system connected to that. It means simply that I am able to interfere when I see aggression because I am dialed into it. I am looking for it. And most of us wish that aggression did not exist. We don't want that. And so if you think or wish that it didn't exist, there will be things that you need to see that you will not be able to see because you wish that they were not there. And so in dealing with my dogs, in terms of positive reinforcement, if we want to say that, if I say nothing, it means I'm in approval with whatever is happening. So I don't have to say good girl or good boy. It's understood. And so by thinking and acting this way, I am willing and ready to be what they need me to be. This is what we have to be for our dogs, because their life is based on hierarchy. They need that consistent assuredness that we are holding all the cards, that we have it all together. That's what they need to know. And you know, to help a dog or even a person that you love, sometimes it may require change. This change will require different choices. And if you find it difficult to make these changes, ask yourself why. What is it that you are so chemically attached to that you can't do it, even though you say you love them? And if what you're doing is not working, why do you resist trying something new? Why do we become so attached to something that doesn't really make sense or that is irrelevant to our particular problem? But we won't let go of it. I'm talking about training. I'm talking about positive and negative reinforcement. All of these things came out of the thought of human beings. And maybe because we feel this way because we will have the experience of the chemical withdrawal from it. See, believing in something for a long period of time, looking in only one direction, and to now have to question your beliefs can have an effect on us. But to make a change, to save a life, to make a conscious change to save a life, now that's a reason to reconsider what we believe in. And so our first caller has decided to make a decision not to give up on their dog, to make a change, to have a new journey that begins now. And they are on the line today to talk about it. And her name is Melissa. Hello, Melissa.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi. Hi, Brandon.
You know, your dog, if people will go to the Facebook page, they will see him walking with Leroy. And he has a very interesting name. It's named Schnock. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Can you tell us where that name came from?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nickname for my fiance and I. Our favorite musician, his name is Michael Hurley, so that's his nickname. That we call him Schnock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people will say Schnook or something like that. Okay, Schnock. All right. Look,
Yeah.
You've got a double whammy here.
Yeah.
Most people will have dog aggression, or some will have people aggression. You got both of them going on in one.
Yeah.
Actually, three. You've got people aggression, dog aggression, owner aggression.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting. This takes a really strong person that's dedicated, willing to make a change. This is what's called being able to see the diamond in the rough. Because, right? I mean, to love a dog.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
To love a dog that will bite you, let alone someone else.
Mhm.
I mean, you've got to be a special person, you and your husband.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Hey.
So tell us what's happening. I mean, you tried to reach me a while back, and I know we had a little difficult time getting together, but I mean, once we got together, we were rolling with things. But kind of tell us where he came from. How did you acquire him? What happened?
Well, we got him from the Baldwin Park shelter. My Evan and I, we wanted to get a rescue dog that wasn't a puppy, because we know the puppies don't, they're kind of the first to go out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And we really liked, cattle dogs and corgis, and, we found Schnock, and he's a corgi mix, and we fell in love. And we, thought we were doing this great thing, and we were going to clicker train him and all these things, and it was different. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That's first I've kind of heard that when you start right off saying we're going to clicker train. I mean, that's pretty interesting. Okay. So you were already down with the tricks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we were looking for a long time, and we had researched different forms of training, and, we were ready to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how you were ready to go, but tell us how it went.
Oh, yeah, it didn't go anything like we thought. So we got him home, and, first thing when we picked him up, he wasn't neutered, so he had surgery, and he tried to bite Evan right when we were putting him in the car. He actually bit me in the back of the seat when we were driving him home. And a week later, I'm trying to get him off a chair, and he bites both my hands, and they got infected, and I had to go to urgent care. So
wow.
The clicker didn't do anything.
And we neglected to say this is a corgi mix. He's a little guy.
Yeah.
A little short guy.
Yep.
All right. So he's biting you, and how did you tell our listeners how you found me?
So both of us are heartbroken, and I start talking to different rescue groups, and I had been looking at a dog that was at Angel's Heart Rescue, which is, run by Janet Cook. And before I contacted her, I actually was told several times that, he just needed to be euthanized. And I just couldn't take that, as a complete answer, because I felt like there had to be something else. And I found Janet Cook, and she knew about you and referred me to you. So it was amazing.
Yeah, Janet's, she's a trooper. She deals with those dogs. She's straightforward about it. She's no bull. I like her a lot, and I'm sure if you talked to her, she told you exactly how it was. Very straightforward. She doesn't beat around the bush.
Nope.
She does a lot of rescue, and her stuff sticks. It works. She's part of the Fouché way, even though we haven't heard from her. She's right there. And
Yeah, she immediately, reassured me that, she knew it was hard, but she was not only willing to talk to me whenever I needed to talk. That to me is really part of the Fouché way, is being able to promote, a better way to work with animals than, that are aggressive and just put them down.
There you go. Right. And never forget, I say it a million times, aggression is the highest form of communication. It not only exists within the animal world, but with us as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so now tell us how this was affecting your life. I mean, most people have never had a dog that was biting them. They don't know about the tables being turned like that. I mean, what does that feel like? How does that affect your life and your relationship?
Oh, we were just constantly kind of stressing out and worried about, doing something that would anger him. We were afraid to have people over. We didn't go on walks anymore because there was also the dog aggression, and we just felt really heartbroken. And I know I'd mentioned this to you the other day, but I started to feel like, I'm like, gosh, I wish he came with an instruction manual. It was really difficult. Made us so sad that we didn't get the dog that we thought we were going to get,
Right. And so you're tiptoeing around your house, and ultimately, really, you're appeasing the dog. He's controlling things.
Yeah.
I mean, he's ultimately controlling things in your house, and you're trying to take care of him and help him, and you don't know if you should pick him up, or you're scared to do that, or tell him what to do. I mean, most people don't understand this. I mean, I know what it's like for a dog to be trying to bite you. I know exactly what that feels like. And that's where this whole concept of leadership really makes a big difference, because how do I control this dog and at the same time show love and affection and get what I need from this dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the leadership comes from, because in being a leadership, you're not necessarily trying to be a friend or a foe. What you're really trying to do is say, this is the reality of things. This is what we're doing here. This is what I want you to understand. Okay? And the love is part of the perks. It comes out of that. The dog sees that you can lead them somewhere, show them where the bathroom is, show them where the food is, show them where they can go outside and play, show them where they sleep. You're showing things. It's like a show and tell, okay? And then the dog says, oh, okay, I got that. I understand these places, and I'm going to relate my understanding to you because you're the one who showed me. You see? Mm-hmm. And we think with a dog like this that we want to show them that we're good people and that you don't have to bite me and that I just want to love you and hug you and kiss you and and to a dog in its ear it's like wah 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 wah, right? And they're saying I wasn't sure about you because of the home that I came from. And sometimes when you get a dog like this in the very beginning, they don't show aggression to you. In other words, they're a little submissive, reserved in the back of the cage, things like that. And then once we do the baby stuff, then they say, I get it. You're just like the home I came from. Right? I know how to act. And then you start to do the baby goo goo gaga. And bam, he bites you. And from that point on, fear jumps into you, dominance jumps into the dog, behavior is learned. So now, if a dog can bite his owner, what does he care about someone he doesn't know?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Scary.
And so what's happening is their opinion of people is that people are weak. And so what has to happen to a dog like that, and that's when I bring them into my world. This is what's coming into my world now. And we put them with other dogs because a dog that's generally aggressive to people is because they don't know how to get along with dogs, but it's not necessarily that they're aggressive to dogs. They're really afraid. They don't know. They have withdrawals. They have separation anxiety because they have been separated from other dogs because of their fear that has turned into aggression because we don't know how to socialize. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so in putting him with other dogs, dogs say, hey, buddy, this is how it's done. Okay? And even though you try to snap, I'm going to get what I need to get, and that's a smell. I'm going to smell you, and the places that I need to smell you, and you're going to have to accept that. And that's ultimately what has to take place. And then from there, we work backwards. We work from socializing them with other dogs, and then we start to socialize them with people. I wanted to say that because, you know, we have these things that we talk about: fear aggression, dominance aggression, subdominance aggression. Some dogs are multi-layered. We're going to say this over and over and over again until people start to understand what I mean by that, and we're going to hit all of those points there. In evaluating this dog, this is a learned behavior. This is not a genetic behavior. This is something that we teach our dogs to do because we show submissiveness within ourselves as opposed to leadership. Doesn't mean that we have to be dominant with this dog or physically dominant with this dog. That's not what it means. It means that we have to put them in situations that puts stress on them from the concept of nature so that they submit to the stress, so that the parts of their mind, their brain opens up to let in what we're trying to show them as leaders. Okay?
Okay.
And when we brought them into my pack and the dog surrounded them, okay, it's sort of what we call flooding. People think, oh, flooding is fear, you know, here we go again. Flooding is what nature does, you know. Animals surround other animals to check them out, okay? And in doing that, because I was the only one that he really knew, what did he do? He bonded to me. He says, hey, you know what? These guys here, this is pretty tough. The power of the pack. He says, I get it. I'm ready to go home. I need you to take me because you led me around this place. You got it?
Yeah.
And so I call him. He runs right up to me. He comes up to me, he jumps in my lap. He says, goo goo gaga.
Yeah.
You know, we've got to control hormones within our dogs. You know, in a pack, dogs, wolves, they all have a hierarchy relationship, and they all, depending on where they are, will be pushing buttons on this one dog so that they can figure out where they fit in. Okay? And so he says, you know what? I get you, man. You know, I love you. Can we get in the car and take a ride and get the hell out of here?
Yeah.
And from there, the rehabilitation begins because his mind is in a submissive state. Okay? I've replaced one hormone with another. So he was in a dominant state of mind, and because of the way I made him feel within his environment, because it is the environment that controls the way a dog is going to think, when I was able to switch that, and he's in the subordinate state of mind, which is, we talk about predator-prey, he becomes prey, and prey animals have to think. They have to think to save themselves, right? And so he says, you know, I feel like prey. Can you help me? And I said, sure. Come here. I want to show you a few more guys over here. Let's go take a look at the little guys that are smaller than you now that you've seen the big guys. And he says, okay, thank you very much. I'm ready to go. And so we bring him up front, and, you know, we introduce him to people. And we start working now from other problems that he's learned. And as I mentioned in my last show, we generally don't have problems with genetic behaviors, but we do have problems with learned behaviors, which is the thing that we can control the most. But because no one has taught us how to control dogs emotionally, hormonally, we only rely on training, which is a physical sit, stay, come, and heel. And so to help you with him so that he doesn't bite you, I've given you some techniques to do at home based on your particular needs, and tell our listeners how that has helped you after him spending a couple of hours with me.
Oh, wow. Well, it's almost like I'm speechless because it was just so immediate. I mean, when Evan and I came back to see him, we could just tell that something had been switched. And, you know, we had people tell us that, oh, corgis are just ornery. And we're like, I don't think that this is the situation. And, you know, when you told us it was learned behavior, and with the techniques that you showed us to kind of control and change his hormones in moments when he's, you know, feeling insecure or being aggressive, I just, you know, they totally switch, and I can see the switch almost immediately in him, you know, just kind of go, okay, we're not going to go there. We're not going to take it there. Let's take it somewhere else. And he just kind of, you know, has mellowed out and become less neurotic too, which is, you know, I mean, to me, that means that he's probably just a lot happier right now. You know, and we're working on walking him, and I'm starting to pick him up.
Right. Isn't that amazing?
Intense.
Isn't that amazing? You know,
it's amazing. What's that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you're not the first person that talked about my dog is calm now. I think he's happy. And you wouldn't think that. I mean, someone that doesn't know the Fouché way, that doesn't know me, that only understands the concept of training, someone that would say, put this dog to sleep, could not understand how those words could come out of your mouth, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing that you are starting to pick him up now, where before you couldn't take his collar off of him. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it was, you know, my heart would always race whenever I would have to change a leash or, you know, it was intense for both of us. So, and it's, you know, it still is a little intense with the picking up thing because he just really doesn't like it. But, you know, it's a realism of his environment.
Right.
So,
can you see that he has submitted to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in so many different ways, like starting from, you know, not wanting to rush the door to, you know, letting me pick him up and, you know, walking behind me. These are things that, like, we couldn't walk him without him trying to strangle himself the entire way. And it was just painful for everybody. And then, you know, he'd see a dog behind the fence and he would just lose it. And, you know, we were really afraid that we live in Highland Park and there's a lot of what we call free dogs because they're free and they're free. And it's kind of a bad joke, but it's true. And, you know, if one of those dogs comes up to him, you know, when we're on one of our bad walks with him pulling on the leash, we're afraid that he's going to get hurt or, you know, all these different things. And we're just starting to feel a lot more secure.
Well, the beautiful thing is we know that he's really not dog aggressive. I mean, I put him with so many dogs.
Yeah, it was amazing to see those videos.
Yeah, you know, this is a big deal for him, for you, for our listeners, because, you know, we have this whole concept of the way we feel about fear. And I've said before, you know, fear is something that can save your life. To understand fear, to be able to deal with fear, to analyze it. I mean, it's a beautiful thing because it can carry you places. And if we think of fear like we think of the concept of negative reinforcement, we're not going to be successful with these kinds of dogs, and we're going to always say those words, put him to sleep. Okay?
Yeah.
And I say we're at the year 2013. We are using a legend concept. We need to change it. And the reason that I have you come on, the reason that I do evaluations is to let you know the possibilities of what your dog can do in an extremely short period of time. And just think about the months or the years that you had him and how he can make a change within a couple of hours lets you know that. We've got to change the way we think. That's the reason this show is here. Okay? And by you seeing it so quickly, it's going to help you to move forward very fast.
Yeah.
And I can hear it in your voice the same day you called me back, how happy you were. Yeah. So, you know, here's an extreme case. A dog biting his person, his owner, a dog biting other people, a dog biting dogs, and you're already handling it. I want to thank you for doing it, for taking the time to connect to him. You know?
Thanks.
This is
Well,
really
thank you.
powerful. You're very welcome.
You're making it possible.
Well, I'm going to keep making it possible for you, and I want to see him again, you know, to reinforce these things and get you in the dog park too.
We would love that.
Yeah, we got to get him out there, okay?
Okay.
Melissa, thank you for coming on and sharing your journey with us, and I will see him shortly, okay?
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Brandon. Yes, you'll see us soon.
Okay, great. All right, our next caller is Veronica with Maxine. How are you, Veronica?
Hi, Brandon.
Man, I'm so happy to talk to you because you've got a really interesting story, too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Were you told to put your dog to sleep, too, or that wasn't you? You didn't hear that?
No, but I was tempted to send her back a few times in the last year.
Tell us about
which,
that.
Of course, we didn't do, but
she's a beautiful pit bull. She's a beautiful pit bull. She's a blue. She's on the Facebook. If anyone is interested in seeing her, check her out. Beautiful picture of you. You took the right kind of shot, her walking behind you. And tell our listeners, because there are many people out there that have dogs or pit bulls or staffies or whatever you want to call them. You know, it's a dog first, right? And, you know, there are people going through problems that you're going through with this so-called leash aggression, dog aggression, you know, that I don't want to say, tell us what you've been going through, your journey up until the time that you came to see me. And how did you find her? Go ahead.
Sure. So basically, we saw her online, and as you said, I mean, she's gorgeous, and the photo on Facebook doesn't even make her justice because her eyes are a little bit closed. She has, you know, a beautiful blue eye and a hazel eye, and people just stop their cars in the middle of the street to see her. And she's she's short for her breed, and she's just gorgeous. The coloring is beautiful. So we saw her online, went to see her. And I'd never rescued a dog before, but I had dogs in the past, and dogs were always dogs to me, and they always kind of obeyed naturally. But we had always had them from puppy. And, you know, so I thought, well, she is kind of trouble, but surely I can handle this. I've handled dogs in the past. And I had suddenly this issue in the house, this disturbance in the floors. And there's no other way to describe this, that it was like, wow, this is not responding what's going on? And so we, unfortunately, instead of finding you, which, gosh, I wish I would have over a year ago, we started working with all these trainers and all these different techniques that they all tell you about. And I read the books and the magazines, and, you know, I thought I was doing the right thing. You know, and we tried all the different techniques that I described to you, from the treats, which she considered a nuisance in front of her when she was in prey mode, to the shock collar, which, you know, as you know, can turn against you, can create more aggression, and everything in between. I mean, you call the collar, and I think we have it. We have an investment in collars and techniques and everything. And really, a few months ago, I almost gave up, because everything we did worked to a certain extent. So, but as I explained to you, there are like Band-Aids, right? So when we walk the dog, and forget anything like a hike, I'm just talking about the neighborhood, you know, we walk in a way looking for the dogs and then maybe hiding her or distracting her in a way, right? That's not fixing the problem. That's just putting a Band-Aid, right? And, you know, walking in the heel, walking all these things, she was doing it because, you know, if it's enough reinforcement, yes, okay, so I'll walk in a heel for you. But she was still in prey mode, and I could tell she was still in prey mode. And there was nothing that I was taught or read or anything on how to change. I'm not going to say fix it. Change it, right? And I got very frustrated. I knew it was in her. You know, as you described, these are the most lovable dogs in the world. She's very sensitive, and she knew exactly when I would get frustrated out on the street. Every time, you know, she would go into crazy mode. And then, you know, it's almost like I describe it, and I think Lori described it also, who worked with her a little bit, like the drunk person who acts all violent, and then, you know, it's like, oh, I know I did bad, but I couldn't control myself.
Right. Oh, you mentioned Lori. That's who, Lori Shishino? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Very, very beautiful person in terms of rescue, and so she referred you.
Yes, she referred me to you, and Debbie also. Debbie Fan also helped me get in touch with you as well. Both of them did, which was, I owe them both huge.
How did it affect your life, your relationship?
Just it's to the point that I almost didn't want to say she was rescued, as I was telling you the other day, because I didn't want people to get the bad idea that this is what you get when you rescue somebody. That changes your life in a negative way, right? Because, I love going on hikes. Well, no more hikes for me, not with the dog at least, because it was a nightmare. We live 5 blocks on the beach. I can't walk on the beach with a dog. I mean, can't walk on the beach with my friend. We walk. My partner walks the dog in the alley. We live 5 blocks on the beach, and she walks the dog in the alley because that's the only place there's no dogs.
Wow.
No, that's crazy. The strain, the amount of exercise we've had to do with the dog, because as you know, there's a law of train out there that says, exhaust the dog physically, and then you can work within a training. Well, believe me, all my neighbors think this is the best trained dog in the universe, and yet they don't understand how we still have a problem, because they see us run the dog, they see us walk the dog, they see us do training with the dogs up and down the streets, right?
Yeah.
And yet they're like, but how is this not being fixed? I go, I know, I don't know.
Well, that's a big misconception,
That's right.
And as we go on with this show, I'm going to be bringing these things up, and there is nowhere for you to find it as of now except for on this radio show, but I'm going to be I'm going to be myth busting a lot of this stuff, knocking it down out of the arena. Exercise is very overrated when you have dogs that have issues, okay? Because just think of it as a person that runs a mile a day. Pretty soon you're going to be able to run 2 miles, right? They're going to become a better athlete. But if that person's an asshole to begin with, they're just a stronger asshole, right?
That's right. That's right. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly what we're creating.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we got to deal with the mental part of this. It's all about the mind of the dog and how it feels in his environment. And in a minute, I'm going to bring in Susan along with this call with the dog KK that was on the show before. This was a 3-legged child, and she flows right into this show today because we're talking about change, making changes, the dog making changes, the person making changes, and why we need to make changes and why we don't make the change, and all of the past history and negativity that we've had in our lives that we're putting on this dog, and the dog is saying, I'm trying to live in the moment, right? And we don't allow them to do that. And in your case with your dog, you were creating energy, not only by doing all the exercising, but you were creating the separation anxiety by not being able to socialize your dog with other dogs, okay? And the way we do it in a way that nature intended dogs to process information. When dogs meet, they're not necessarily on leashes, okay? The human does that. They put them on leashes. But that's not going to work. So in your case, how did you feel when you saw her with all the other dogs at my place? Hello?
Brandon, you talking to me or to Susan?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't actually bring her in, but I mentioned her name. So I'm still talking to Veronica.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's why I didn't answer. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at
well, we were, as you can imagine, we were fearful, when I handed her over to you, because I knew it. She was, I'd seen the seminars, I'd heard, I'd watched your show, and I was fearful that I'm like, oh, this is gonna not be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And it was amazing. She did exactly what you said she would do, which is find her position in that ladder, and do exactly what I been wanting to do all along, which is socialize her, right?
Right.
In an open, off-leash environment where that can play out.
Right.
Where I couldn't do that before with none of the trainers and their dog or any of the dogs because, trainers are like, no, that's a liability, right? Well, I mean, we started our first training class with a full metal muzzle because they wouldn't let us attend the class otherwise.
Mm-hmm. And this is what I mean when I say things are outdated. We're talking about a global change here by giving out information to people. And we hope that this transcends into the shelters, into other training facilities. And, it's so important. That's why I want to have you on to talk about this thing and to talk about the difficult concepts of dog aggression, fear aggression, and all of that. I believe that we really don't have genetic problems with dogs. I mean, we do, but not as much as we think. We really have a lot of learned behaviors that we imprint upon the dog, which are actually our fears. And so even though I'm talking about dogs, I'm actually talking about people. I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about what I've gone through and how I've learned this by investigating my environment physically too, And so at this time, I do want to bring in Susan.
Hello,
Brandon. Can I say something about the fear factor really quick?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Because I'm going to agree with you there that and a lot of the problems we had at the beginning and later on even were fear factors on our side.
On your
because
side.
when we start to react that way, then you just you hold yourself. It's coming, and it obviously, as you know, it exacerbates the situation because now the dog sees you're nervous, you're just feeding into it. So that's a big, huge thing.
Well, let me ask you, since we went there, I mean, what do you feel now? Now that you've come to me those few hours, how is your life now?
Well, I mean, just walking the dog is a pleasure. It comes through, afternoon, and I'm like, sure, let's go.
Yeah.
Where before it was literally just, oh, here we go again. I mean, every day it was just a torture to take her out. It's like, oh, here we go. And now it says, here we go, let's go.
You can see that she believes you, that she respects you now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the things that I asked you to do, were there things that were difficult for you to do or that you considered to be mean or?
No, and it's the simplest, most basic logic things that anybody has said. I mean, it doesn't get more basic or more easy compared to all the complicated things we were doing before that, of course, were not working.
And you know why? Because I'm talking about your relationship with your dog and how you look at your dog, and that's what's going to make the change. There is no difference between that relationship that you have with your dog than the one that you have with your partner.
Right.
If you can't communicate, it's going to tear down. That's what this is about. And working with dogs has never been looked at this way, the way we're doing it. Okay? And that's why this thing is going to continue to grow, because this is what's needed. At this point in time we're in this 2013, and all the dogs are dying the way they're dying, and we don't have a new concept, a new philosophy. That's what I'm bringing to the table here, And this is why I want you on to tell people that this thing can change instantly if you're willing. If you're willing.
Yeah. It was instant. It was Friday. I mean, on Saturday we took her out. On Sunday we had her on a hike. On a very narrow hike up that we would have never, ever considered. And that was Sunday.
Yeah.
And we took her on Friday. I mean, that was not even a week ago.
Wow.
This is not like I'm telling you a year ago. This is 6 days ago, right?
This is yummy stuff.
Yeah.
This is yummy, And,
Yeah.
I want to bring, time is rolling. I want to bring Susan with KK in on this because this is very important. As I began the show, I talk about attachments and why we don't want to let things go and, all of that. Please go back and listen to the first part, and because it'll make sense when I'm talking to Susan here. Susan, you have a dog. It just happens to be a Chow Chow, Chows, as a rule, are aloof and standoffish and more cat-like in some instances. And because we allow for them to live up to that standard, they can become stubborn. All right?
Yeah.
And if ever there's a relationship that we can compare a person having, it's with a child that has a stubborn personality.
Mm-hmm.
That child will want to make you work for everything.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. You got this dog to save her life and to love her. And you want to love her. All you want to do is love her, right? Goo goo gaga. Mm-hmm. That's what you want.
Yeah.
And the more you do that, KK says, oh, yeah? So you're weak, huh? Well, I'm going to show you who I am. I'm not going to come to you. I'm not going to do what you want. I'm only going to do what I want. And when I want love and affection, I'll come over to you. And then when she does come over to you, when she wants it, it just melts your heart. You say, oh, my God, she loves me. Right?
Yes.
And
we're in a battle of wills right now.
You're being played. You're being played. I want you to go back to your relationship, your last relationship that didn't work. And I bet you they have the same personalities.
Yeah, he was definitely an alpha. He was the kind of person you could call 10 times, not crazy 10 times in a row, but you could call him 10 times and he wouldn't call back. He would call back when he damn well felt like calling back.
Okay.
And this is what KK's doing.
Exactly.
She's sitting down on her walks, and she gets up when she feels like it. And she can feel my tension. She can feel my irritation. Mm-hmm. She can hear me counting.
Wow. Can you, I mean, those that are listening, I want everybody to think back to that relationship that didn't work, and it is exactly the same. But I bet when he wanted something, he was right there pronto.
He was right there.
There we go. I mean, that's...
Yeah, but I could call and call, and he would just ignore me, and he could be sitting there doing nothing, surfing the internet, but if he didn't feel like returning my call, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
And when he walked my other dog, I noticed it was very interesting. When she tried to sit down or smell something, he just kept going, and he did not even look back.
He didn't have those problems that you're having.
No.
Yeah. Because
that's where he and I were incompatible. I mean, I hope I'm compatible with KK.
Well, what's happening with KK? I want you to be on, because you fit with the program. You need something. Okay?
Yeah.
That's that attachment that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And what you need and what the dog needs, that's when I start talking about giving a person or a dog what you think they want as opposed to what they need.
Yeah.
In order to solve KK's problem, you're going to have to make her want you, but not by showing her love and affection.
Yes. I get it. I get it intellectually.
All right. But it's that thing, go back and listen to the first part of the show, that you don't want to let go of. That feeling, okay? And I get that. You're going to be a work in progress. And I told you that the first time I saw you, when I looked at KK, I said, this is a problem that is arising at home. And even before the dog got with you, just like I mentioned before, I said, this dog came into your world and said, oh, this is just like the home I left. The only difference is I'm inside.
Yeah, right. I think she was outside before. Yeah,
of course. But the mentality is the same. The mind is the same. Okay?
Yeah.
And so to fix this problem, you're going to have to put her in situations that she doesn't want to be in so that she can call for you. Mommy, help.
Yeah.
Okay? So you live in a condo, right?
Yes.
Put her on the patio and shut the door. She probably doesn't like that.
No, she wants to know she loves the patio, but she wants to know she has the authority and the freedom to get out.
Got to take it away from her. Shut the door.
I'm sorry?
You got to take that away from her. Shut the door. I want to hear, Mommy, help. Come get me.
For how long?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Tether her to something in the house while you're walking around the house. And then you start walking back towards her, but you don't go directly to her. You go into the bedroom, and I want to see this happiness. Mommy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You understand?
Then I ignore that?
Yeah, ignore that for a moment, come back, and then stoop down, get closer to her and say, KK, come here. And she's going to rush right into your arms, right?
Right.
And you're going to say, this is what I want. But I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And take off again. Okay? Now,
well, let me tell you, actually today, before the radio show, I thought, I'll take KK out and we'll sit on a park bench and it'll be so great for KK. And then I thought, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
That's right.
So I didn't do it. So I'm trying to change my thinking around to what I want and not to what she wants.
It's all about what you want. If you do things and allow KK to accompany you, you will start making that transition. When we do things for our dogs, then we are rewarding the predatory instinct in them. When we take that walk for them and this for them and cut their food up for them and all these things, we are setting a mindset that's going to backfire on us, okay?
Right.
Man, we just got to get more time. We are running out of time. And so, look, we will talk again. I'm going to have you back on. Yours is a very interesting subject because we got a lot of people with dogs out there like KK. And Veronica with Maxine, we're going to have you back on too because we're going to make sure that things are going great. And we're going to have Melissa back on. And I hope to see these dogs in daycare real soon, okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you for coming on to the show and sharing your journey. And we will see you next Thursday at 1 o'clock p.m. on the Fouché Way radio show.
You're listening to Fouché Way with Brandon Fouché, right here on LA Talk Radio.